The glass lobby of Sterling Tower reflects the morning sun like a crystal palace. Evelyn Carter stands near the floor-to-ceiling windows in her tailored cream Chanel suit, arms crossed confidently as she discusses quarterly projections with 3 venture capitalists from Singapore. Her laugh is polished, her posture perfect. She's built her entire image on moments like these. A black man in a dark green polo shirt and pressed khaki pants walks across the marble floor, leather portfolio tucked under his arm. His steps are measured, unhurried. Professional. "Ms. Carter," he says clearly. "Malik Hayes. We have a 9 o'clock about the Series C funding." He extends his hand. Evelyn's eyes flick down to his outstretched hand. Her smile doesn't falter, but she doesn't move. Her arms stay crossed. The pause stretches 3 seconds. Then 4. "I'm sorry," she says, her voice dripping with practiced politeness. "I think there's been some confusion. This meeting is for investors only." Her tone isn't loud. It doesn't need to be. It carries the weight of assumption, of authority that's never been questioned. Behind her, the Singapore investors exchange glances. One raises an eyebrow. Another shifts uncomfortably. "Ms. Carter, if you'll just check your calendar." "Security." She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't have to. 2 guards in black suits move toward them immediately. Malik lowers his hand slowly. He doesn't argue, doesn't shout. He simply nods once, turns, and walks toward the exit with his head high. Someone's phone is up. Recording. The video will be uploaded in 7 minutes. It will have 4 million views by lunch. Evelyn turns back to her guests, brushing imaginary lint from her sleeve. "I apologize for that interruption. Now, where were we?" She has no idea. She just refused the handshake of the only person who could save her dying company. Subscribe now to see how one moment of prejudice destroys an empire. 4 months ago, Carter Innovations was valued at $950 million. Today, the number makes Evelyn's assistant physically ill every time she updates the spreadsheet. The company burns $9.2 million monthly. The account holds enough cash for 9 more weeks. After that, it's over. Bankruptcy. Public humiliation. Everything her family built gone. Evelyn sits alone in her glass corner office on the 44th floor. Through the windows, the city sprawls beneath her like a kingdom she's convinced she still rules. She graduated top of her class at Wharton. Forbes named her one of the 30 most influential women in tech. Her father is a real estate mogul. Her mother chairs 3 foundations. Evelyn grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, summered in Martha's Vineyard, and never once questioned whether doors would open for her. Until now. She's pitched 28 investors in 6 months. Every single one declined. "Difficult to work with," one email read. "Doesn't take feedback well," said another. "Major concerns about leadership and company culture," a third investor wrote in a memo that somehow made it to TechCrunch. Evelyn deleted those emails. She told herself they didn't understand innovation, that they were intimidated by strong women, that the market was temporarily unfavorable. But the cash keeps bleeding out, and there's only one name left on her list. Malik Hayes. Across the country, in a minimalist penthouse overlooking the Hudson River, Malik Cole pours his second cup of coffee. The apartment is all clean lines and open space. White walls, a massive window, a wall of screens displaying real-time data from markets in Tokyo, London, Singapore, New York. He grew up on the south side of Chicago. His mother cleaned offices at night and worked retail during the day. He wore donated clothes and studied under streetlights when the power got shut off. He learned early that the world didn't hand you anything. You had to take it carefully, strategically, without apology. Full ride to MIT. Double major in computer science and applied mathematics. At 25, he built a predictive analytics platform that could assess startup viability with 91% accuracy. Microsoft acquired it for $830 million when he was 27. Now, at 39, he runs Hayes Capital for $0.1 billion in managed assets, 52 investments, 48 successful exits for calculated losses. Bloomberg calls him the most influential investor you've never heard of. He doesn't wear suits. Never has. It's a litmus test. He wants to know if people respect his mind or just his money. Most fail the test within 30 seconds. This morning, his monitor shows 3 faces on a video call. His lead analyst, Jordan. His CFO, Patricia. His executive assistant, Amara. "Boss, I just finished the Carter Innovations deep dive," Jordan says. Her voice is sharp, no nonsense. "And you need to see this." Malik sits down his coffee. "Talk to me." Jordan pulls up a spreadsheet. Red numbers dominate the screen. Burning cash fast. 9 weeks left, maybe 10 if they cut salaries. Tech is solid. The AI-driven supply chain software actually works. Customer retention is strong. Revenue growth is real. So what's the problem? Leadership. Patricia's voice cuts in. Evelyn Carter is brilliant, but she's toxic. Turnover rate is 47%. 3 discrimination lawsuits settled quietly last year. Glassdoor reviews are brutal, and she's alienated every major investor on the West Coast. Malik leans back. "Why are we even looking at this?" Amara speaks up. "Because if someone fixes the leadership problem, this company is worth $2 billion in 18 months. The fundamentals are that strong." Malik studies the screen. He's built his career on seeing value where others see risk, on finding diamonds buried in wreckage. "Set up a meeting," he says finally. "Let's see if she's willing to change." Jordan hesitates. "Malik, she's not going to listen to." "Set up." He already knows how this will go. He's seen it 100 times. People like Evelyn Carter don't change until they're forced to, until they lose everything. But he'll give her the chance anyway. Because unlike her, Malik believes people deserve opportunities, even when they don't extend the same courtesy to others. The meeting is scheduled for 9 o'clock, Tuesday morning. Sterling Tower lobby. 3 days from now, that handshake, or the lack of it, will be the most expensive mistake Evelyn Carter ever makes. Comment below. Have you ever witnessed discrimination in a professional setting? And hit like if you want to see what happens when prejudice meets consequences. Subscribe now to see how confidence becomes the most expensive mistake of her life. Evelyn Carter has never second-guessed herself. Not once. Not when she dropped out of her PhD program to launch Carter Innovations. Not when she fired her co-founder in front of the entire board. Not when she chose aggressive expansion over sustainable growth. Her father taught her that hesitation is weakness. Her Wharton professors praised her decisiveness. Forbes wrote that she leads with unflinching conviction. She's built a $950 million company on the belief that she can read people in seconds, assess situations instantly, and act without doubt. This morning, standing in the Sterling Tower lobby with sunlight streaming through the glass walls, she feels that same certainty humming through her veins. She's wearing a cream Chanel suit tailored perfectly to her frame. Her hair is styled in a professional twist. Her posture is impeccable, shoulders back, chin level, arms crossed in a stance that communicates authority without words. 3 venture capitalists from Singapore hang on her every word as she explains her company's pivot strategy. This is her element, her stage, her kingdom. When a man in the green polo shirt approaches, she notices him peripherally. No suit jacket, no tie, khaki pants that look off the rack, no assistant trailing behind him, no briefcase, just a simple leather portfolio. He doesn't look like power. He doesn't dress like the investors she courts. He doesn't carry himself with the aggressive confidence of Silicon Valley's elite. Her brain makes the calculation in microseconds. He doesn't belong here. "Ms. Carter," he says, professional, polite. "Malik Hayes. We have a 9 o'clock about the Series C funding." He extends his hand. Evelyn's eyes flick to it briefly. Her arms stay crossed. She doesn't move. In her mind, this isn't prejudice. This is pattern recognition. This is instinct. This is the same quick judgment that served her well in boardrooms, pitch meetings, and negotiations for 15 years. She sees casual clothing in a luxury business setting. She thinks, wrong place, wrong meeting, wrong person. "I'm sorry," she says, her voice perfectly calibrated, polite but firm. "I think there's been some confusion. This meeting is for investors only." She doesn't ask his name again, doesn't check her calendar, doesn't verify with her assistant. She simply knows. the way she always knows. Behind her, the Singapore investors shift their weight. One checks his watch. Another glances at his colleague. The energy in the lobby changes subtly, like a string pulled too tight. Ms. Carter, if you'll just... Security. One word. Calm. Authoritative. Two guards in black suits move immediately toward them. They've learned not to question Ms. Carter. When she speaks, things happen. Malik's hand lowers slowly. His expression doesn't change. No anger flashes across his face. No frustration tightens his jaw. He simply nods once, a gesture so controlled it's almost invisible. Understood, he says quietly. Then he turns and walks toward the glass doors, his leather portfolio still tucked under his arm, his head high, his pace measured, dignity intact. Around the lobby, phones have appeared. A junior associate from the Singapore group holds his phone at chest level, recording. An administrative assistant near the reception desk has her camera angled perfectly. A tech blogger who is waiting for a different meeting captures the entire interaction. But Evelyn doesn't notice. She's already turned back to her guests, smoothing her sleeve as if brushing away the interruption. I apologize for that, she says with a practiced smile. Security usually screens more carefully. Now where were we? Yes, the Q3 projections. The Singapore investors exchange glances. The oldest one, a man in his 60s with steel gray hair, looks toward the exit where Malik just disappeared. He says nothing, but something shifts in his expression. None of them speak up. None of them ask questions. None of them say, wait, shouldn't we verify who that was? Their silence becomes permission. Their inaction becomes agreement. Their comfort becomes complicity. This is how bias works in professional spaces. Not with shouting or slurs, but with assumptions wrapped in confidence. With certainty that never pauses to question itself. With power that doesn't need to explain. Evelyn continues her pitch, her voice smooth and assured. She gestures toward the windows, painting a vision of expansion into European markets, AI-driven logistics, revolutionary supply, chain optimization. She believes she just handled an awkward situation with grace and authority. She believes she protected the integrity of her meeting. She believes she did exactly what a strong leader should do. She has no idea that the man she just dismissed controls $4.1 billion in investment capital. She has no idea that his analytics platform predicted her company's trajectory with 91% accuracy 3 weeks ago. She has no idea that he was her last option, her final chance, the only investor willing to overlook her reputation and focus purely on the technology. She has no idea that the video of this interaction is already uploading. She has no idea that by tomorrow morning, #HandshakeGate will be trending on Twitter. She has no idea that her certainty, her unflinching, unwavering, celebrated certainty, just cost her everything. Outside, Malik reaches his car. A sleek black Tesla parked in the visitor section. He sets his portfolio on the passenger seat and pulls out his phone. A text message appears on his screen from Jordan, his lead analyst. How did it go? Malik types 3 words, exactly as expected. He starts the car and pulls out of the parking structure. He doesn't look back at Sterling Tower. He doesn't need to. He's seen this pattern before. People who build their identity on never being wrong. People who confuse confidence with wisdom. People who can't tell the difference between instinct and bias. They always learn eventually, usually when it's too late. He merges onto the highway, heading back toward the airport. His phone buzzes continuously. Text messages, news alerts, social media notifications. The video is live. Inside Sterling Tower, Evelyn Carter is still talking, still pitching, still certain she's in control. She has 9 weeks of cash left, and she just turned away the only person who could have saved her. Comment below. Have you ever seen someone make a decision they were 100% sure was right, only to watch it destroy them? And hit like if you want to see the moment Evelyn realizes what she's done. Subscribe now to see how 10 seconds of video destroys a billion-dollar empire. Malik Hayes pushes through the revolving glass door of Sterling Tower. The morning sunlight hits his face as he steps onto the sidewalk. His expression is neutral, calm, unshaken. Behind him, Through the crystalline panels of the lobby, a dozen faces watch his exit. Some curious, some uncomfortable, some already turning away. The door rotates slowly, reflecting fragmented images. Executives in dark suits, marble floors gleaming under recessed lighting. Evelyn Carter's cream-colored silhouette as she gestures animatedly to her Singapore investors. Inside, a junior executive from the visiting delegation, a woman in her late 20s wearing a charcoal blazer, slowly lowers her phone. Her thumb hovers over the screen for 3 seconds before she taps twice. Upload. The video file begins transferring to her private cloud storage. She glances around. No one notices. Everyone is focused back on Evelyn. As I was saying, Evelyn continues, her voice bright and confident. Our Q3 projections show a 34% increase in enterprise adoption. We're positioned perfectly for the Series C round. She laughs, a practiced, controlled sound designed to reset the room's energy. It's the laugh she uses when a pitch gets interrupted by a technical glitch or when a board member asks an inconvenient question. It signals minor disturbance. Nothing to worry about. I have everything under control. The Singapore investors smile politely. But the oldest one, the man with steel gray hair and a Patek Philippe watch, doesn't laugh back. He nods slightly, his eyes tracking toward the glass doors where Malik disappeared. Ms. Carter, he says carefully, that gentleman mentioned a 9 o'clock meeting? Evelyn waves her hand dismissively. A scheduling error. These things happen. My assistant will sort it out. She pivots immediately back to her pitch deck. Now, if you'll look at slide 12, you'll see our customer retention metrics. The gray-haired investor exchanges a glance with his colleague. Something unspoken passes between them, but neither says anything more. Around the lobby, the energy shifts in subtle ways. An administrative assistant near the reception desk types something quickly in her phone, then tucks it into her purse. 2 junior analysts from a competing firm whisper to each other near the elevator bank. A tech journalist who is waiting for an unrelated meeting taps notes into his phone with unusual speed. But most people simply return to their coffee, their conversations, their morning routines. The moment passes. Life continues. This is how most witnesses respond to injustice. Not with outrage, but with rationalization. With the quiet comfort of telling themselves it's not their business. That they don't have the full context. That surely there's a reasonable explanation. Some feel a flicker of discomfort, a tension in their chest that they can't quite name. But they push it down. They have meetings to attend, deals to close, careers to protect. Silence becomes easier than speaking up. Inaction becomes safer than involvement. Evelyn adjusts her position, angling her body to block the view of the doors. She's a master at controlling attention, at redirecting focus. Within 90 seconds, she has the Singapore group laughing at an anecdote about a failed competitor. She believes the incident is contained. Handled. Over. She's wrong. Outside, Malik reaches the curb where his car is waiting. A black Tesla Model S, spotless and understated. He opens the door without rushing. No anger in his movements. No frustration in his posture. He slides into the driver's seat and places his leather portfolio carefully on the passenger side. The interior is immaculate. Charcoal leather, a faint scent of cedar from the air freshener, classical piano playing softly through the speakers. He doesn't slam the door, doesn't punch the steering wheel, doesn't curse. He simply sits for a moment, hands resting on the wheel, looking straight ahead at the morning traffic streaming past Sterling Tower. His phone buzzes. Once, twice, 7 times in rapid succession. He glances at the screen. Jordan, how did it go? Patricia, call when you can. Amara, boss, you need to see Twitter right now. He doesn't respond yet. Instead, he starts the engine. The Tesla hums to life silently, and he pulls smoothly into traffic. No screeching tires, no dramatic exit, just a professional leaving a building after a meeting that didn't happen. This is what dignity looks like. It doesn't need witnesses. It doesn't require validation. It doesn't perform for cameras or seek sympathy. Malik learned this lesson 30 years ago on the south side of Chicago, when a teacher told his mother he wasn't college material. When a bank manager denied his first business loan without reading his proposal. When a venture capitalist asked if he'd actually written his own code or had help from someone technical. He learned that your worth isn't determined by how others see you. That maintaining composure isn't weakness, it's power. That walking away with your head high is sometimes the strongest move you can make. At a red light, he finally picks up his phone. The screen is flooded with notifications, text messages, missed calls, news alerts, social media tags. He opens Twitter. #HandshakeGate is already trending. Number 7 nationwide. Rising fast. The video has 847,000 views. Posted 23 minutes ago by @TechInsider_Anna with the caption, "When privilege meets prejudice in a corporate lobby." This is why diversity in VC matters. At Evelyn Carter, at Carter Innovations. Comments are pouring in, hundreds per minute. This is disgusting. In 2025? Really? She didn't even look at him, just dismissed him completely. I hope her company burns to the ground. Someone ID the guy she refused to shake hands with. He deserves better. Malik scrolls through silently. His expression doesn't change. He's been here before. Not exactly this scenario, but close enough. The public outrage. The viral moment. The performative allyship. He knows how this plays out. Tomorrow, Evelyn will issue a carefully worded apology written by her PR team. She'll claim misunderstanding, stress, concern for security protocols. She'll donate to a diversity initiative. She'll post a photo with her company's 2 Black employees. And in 3 weeks, everyone will move on to the next viral moment. But the damage will already be done. The light turns green. Malik accelerates smoothly, merging onto the highway toward the airport. His phone buzzes again. This time, it's Patricia. He answers on speaker. "I saw. It's everywhere, Malik. CNN just picked it up. Bloomberg is calling for comment. Don't give one. But let breathe. The story isn't about me. It's about her." Inside Sterling Tower, Evelyn Carter is still talking, still pitching, still confident. Her phone sits face down on the marble table beside her, silence during the meeting. She hasn't checked it in 40 minutes. She has no idea that her face is currently on the front page of TechCrunch. She has no idea that 3 of her board members are already in an emergency call. She has no idea that the Singapore investors are texting their legal team under the table. She believes the problem walked out the door with Malik Hayes. The audience knows better. The exit that seemed like an ending was actually the beginning. Comment below. Have you ever walked away from disrespect with your dignity intact? And hit like if you believe karma is real. Subscribe now to watch the moment arrogance meets reality. The sun sets over San Francisco Bay, casting long orange shadows through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Evelyn Carter's corner office. The city below transitions from day to night, lights flickering on across the skyline like stars falling upward. Evelyn sits alone at her glass desk, reviewing revised budget projections on her laptop. The numbers are bad, worse than last week. The burn rate isn't slowing despite 3 rounds of layoffs. 9 weeks of runway. Maybe 8 if vendors start demanding faster payment. She takes a sip of now-cold coffee and closes the spreadsheet. Her head throbs with the beginning of a tension headache. Her office is immaculate. Minimalist furniture, abstract art on the walls, a shelf displaying awards and magazine covers featuring her face. Everything carefully curated to project success, power, control. But tonight, the space feels hollow. A soft knock at the door breaks the silence. "Come in," she says without looking up. David Chun, her CFO, steps inside. He's 48, Princeton-educated, been with the company since the series, normally unflappable. But tonight, his shoulders are tense. His tie is loosened. He's holding his phone like it might explode. "Evelyn, we need to talk." She glances up, mildly annoyed. "David, if this is about the Singapore group, I already sent the follow-up materials. They're still considering. It's not about Singapore." His voice is tight. "Careful. It's about this morning. The lobby." Evelyn's expression doesn't change. "What about it?" David closes the door behind him. He doesn't sit. Instead, he stands awkwardly near her desk, shifting his weight. "The man who approached you. Do you remember him?" Evelyn waves her hand dismissively. Some random person who thought he had a meeting. Security handled it. What? David's jaw tightens. He looks down at his phone, then back at her. Evelyn. His name is Malik Hayes. The name means nothing to her. She shrugs. Okay. And he's the founder and managing partner of Hayes Capital. Silence. Evelyn's hand, which was reaching for her coffee cup, stops mid-air. Hayes Capital manages $4.1 billion in assets. David continues, his voice gaining strength now that he started. Malik Hayes is one of the most successful venture investors in the country. 52 investments. 48 successful exits. He personally requested a meeting with you 3 weeks ago. Evelyn's face goes very still. That's not possible. I confirmed it with Rebecca. Rebecca is her executive assistant. She scheduled it. 9 a.m. this morning, Sterling Tower lobby. Series C funding discussion. The office suddenly feels smaller. The air thicker. Evelyn swivels her chair slowly toward her computer and opens her calendar with trembling fingers. She scrolls to this morning. There it is. 9 a.m. Malik Hayes, Hayes Capital, Series C discussion, Sterling Tower lobby. The entry has been there for 3 weeks. Color-coded, flagged as high priority. She never looked. She was so focused on the Singapore group, so confident in her ability to read the room, that she never verified who was supposed to be there. No, she whispers. No. David steps closer. Evelyn, he was our last option. Every other major investor has passed. The bank won't extend our line of credit. We have 8 weeks of cash left. He was willing to lead a $120 million round. Evelyn repeats, her voice hollow. David confirms. Past tense. Evelyn's hands grip the edge of her desk. Her knuckles turn white. Call him. Apologize. Explain that there was a misunderstanding. I tried. David's voice cracks slightly. He won't take my calls. His assistant said Hayes Capital is no longer interested in Carter Innovations and wished us well. The room tilts. Evelyn feels like the floor is dropping beneath her. This morning, she stood in that lobby radiating confidence. She dismissed a man she assumed didn't belong. She never asked questions, never verified, never paused. She just knew, except she didn't. There's more, David says quietly. Evelyn looks up, her face pale. How can there possibly be more? David turns his phone around, showing her the screen. Twitter. #HandshakeGate. Trending number 3 nationwide. The video plays silently. Evelyn watches herself. Arms crossed, face dismissive, voice dripping with polite condescension. She watches Malik extend his hand. She watches herself refuse to shake it. She watches security approach. The comments below are brutal. This is what systemic racism looks like in corporate America. She didn't even ask his name, just decided he didn't belong. Carter Innovations deserves to fail. This is disgusting. How many qualified people has she dismissed like this? The video has 3.2 million views. Posted 6 hours ago. Evelyn's hand flies to her mouth. Oh my God. Bloomberg ran a story 20 minutes ago. David continues, his voice gentle but relentless. Forbes is drafting one. TechCrunch called 3 times. Our PR team is fielding dozens of media requests. Turn it off, Evelyn whispers. The Singapore investors pulled out an hour ago. They cited concerns about leadership and company values. David, turn it off. 2 board members are calling for your resignation. I said turn it off. Her shout echoes in the empty office. David goes silent, phone still extended. Evelyn stands abruptly, her chair rolling backward and hitting the window. She turns away from David, staring out at the city lights. For 15 years, she's been untouchable, celebrated, featured, praised for her decisiveness, her instincts, her unflinching confidence. She built her entire identity on never being wrong. And now, she's been catastrophically, publicly, irreversibly wrong. Her reflection stares back at her from the darkening window. She barely recognizes the woman looking back, face drawn, eyes wide, expression cracked. How much damage? She asks quietly. David hesitates. Stock dropped 23% in after-hours trading. 3 enterprise clients are reviewing their contracts. Internal morale is, he stops. It's bad, Evelyn. Really bad. She closes her eyes. Can we survive this? The pause before David answers tells her everything. I don't know, he admits. Without new funding, we have 8 weeks. And after today, I don't know who would invest in us. Evelyn's authority, the armor she's worn for her entire career, crumbles. It can't protect her from consequences anymore. It can't shield her from the truth. She refused to shake a man's hand because he didn't look like power. And that 10-second decision just destroyed everything. Leave me, she says, her voice barely audible. David nods and walks toward the door. He pauses with his hand on the handle. Evelyn, for what it's worth, I'm sorry. The door clicks shut. Evelyn stands alone in her corner office, surrounded by awards that suddenly mean nothing, staring at a city that no longer feels like her kingdom. The sunset has faded completely now. Darkness fills the windows. And for the first time in her life, Evelyn Carter doesn't know what to do next. Comment below. Have you ever made a snap judgment you couldn't take back? And hit like if you want to see whether Evelyn can survive what she's done. Subscribe now to watch a corporate empire crumble in real time. Evelyn doesn't sleep. She sits in her living room, a $4.3 million penthouse in Pacific Heights with panoramic views of the Golden Gate Bridge, staring at her laptop screen as the numbers refresh. Stock price, down another 4%. Refresh, down 6%. Refresh, down 9%. Her phone buzzes constantly on the marble coffee table. Text messages, Slack notifications, email alerts. She stopped reading them around 2 a.m. Outside, the city sleeps. Inside, her world is collapsing. By 3:47 a.m., the first internal message leaks to her phone. It's a screenshot from the company's Slack channel, forwarded by someone she thought was loyal. Hashtag leadership concerns, private channel. Marcus_dev. Did anyone else see the video? Sarah_product. I've watched it 5 times. I'm sick. James_sales. I've been here 4 years. How many times has this happened that we didn't see? Marcus_dev. That's what I keep thinking. Alicia_HR. Legal is in panic mode. 3 employees filed formal complaints tonight, citing hostile work environment. Sarah_product. Good. They should. Evelyn's hands shake as she reads. Her own team, turning against her, questioning her, doubting everything she's built. She opens her email. 17 new messages since midnight. The first is from Richard Thornton, the oldest board member. Gray-haired, old money, usually her strongest ally. Subject, board meeting. Evelyn, emergency session scheduled for Friday, 9 a.m. attendance mandatory. RT. No pleasantries, no signature, just 3 sentences that feel like a guillotine blade being sharpened. The second email is from Catherine Wu, another board member, a former tech CEO, someone Evelyn recruited personally. Subject, lunch Thursday. Evelyn, I need to postpone our lunch indefinitely. I'm sure you understand, given the circumstances. Best, Catherine, given the circumstances. The phrase feels like acid. The third email makes her stomach turn. From Board of Directors to Executive Leadership Subject, Reputational Risk Assessment. The board has engaged external counsel to conduct a comprehensive review of company culture, leadership practices, and reputational exposure. All executives should preserve relevant communications and prepare for interviews. We can't survive another reputational risk. Further updates to follow. Evelyn reads that line again. We can't survive another reputational risk. Another. As if this morning's incident is just one in a series. As if there's a pattern they've been quietly managing. She opens a browser and types her own name into Google News. Tech CEO Evelyn Carter refuses to shake black investors' hand. Bloomberg. Viral video shows shocking display of bias at Carter Innovations. TechCrunch. Who is Malik Hayes? The billionaire investor turned away. Forbes. Inside the toxic culture at Carter Innovations. The Verge. That last headline makes her click. The article was published 47 minutes ago. It includes interviews with 3 former employees, all anonymous, describing her leadership style as dismissive, hierarchical, and hostile to anyone who doesn't fit a certain profile. One quote stands out. She only respects people who look like power to her. If you don't dress right, talk right, come from the right background, you're invisible. Or worse, you're a threat. Evelyn closes the laptop. Her reflection stares back from the dark screen. Hair disheveled, makeup smeared, eyes hollow. She tries to remember the moment exactly as it happened. Malik approaching, green polo, khaki pants, leather portfolio. His voice calm, professional. Ms. Carter, Malik Hayes. We have a 9 o'clock about the Series C funding. His hand extended, steady, patient, and her response, arms crossed, voice dismissive, certainty radiating from every gesture. For the first time, she replays it without justification, without rationalization, without the filter of her own assumptions. She sees what everyone else saw, not a security concern, not a scheduling error, not a misunderstanding, just bias, clean and simple. Malik's expression, she remembers it now with painful clarity, wasn't confusion or guilt. It was knowing, like he'd seen this before, like he expected it, like he was giving her a chance anyway. And she failed the test. The sky outside begins to lighten. Dawn creeps across the bay. Evelyn hasn't moved from the couch in 4 hours. Her phone buzzes. Another email. From Stanford Alumni Network subject. Speaking engagement update. Dear Ms. Carter, after careful consideration, we've decided to postpone your keynote at the Women in Leadership Summit. We'll be in touch regarding future opportunities. They don't even say why. They don't have to. Evelyn opens a new email. Her fingers hover over the keyboard. She's never apologized publicly, never admitted a mistake. Her entire brand is built on strength, decisiveness, unwavering confidence. But the words come anyway. Slow, painful, unfamiliar. To Malik Hayes subject, this morning. Mr. Hayes, there is no excuse for how I treated you this morning. I made assumptions based on prejudice, and I denied you the basic respect every person deserves. I was wrong. She pauses. The cursor blinks. She continues. I cannot undo what happened, but I take full responsibility for my actions and their consequences. If you're willing, I would like to apologize in person. I understand if you're not. Sincerely, Evelyn Carter. She reads it 3 times. Each word feels like pulling glass from a wound. At 6:23 a.m., she hits send. The response comes at 6:31 a.m. From Malik Hayes to Evelyn Carter subject, this morning. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. My office. Address below. MH. 8 words. No acceptance of her apology. No reassurance. No warmth. Just an appointment. Evelyn stares at the screen. The message feels cold. Transactional. Like she's being granted an audience she hasn't earned. She checks the stock price again. Down 14% since market close yesterday. Her phone buzzes. A text from David, her CFO. David, 2 more clients just suspended contracts pending internal review. We need to talk. Another text. From her VP of Marketing. Andrea, PR wants to issue a statement. They need your approval by 9 a.m. Another. From her assistant Rebecca. Rebecca, your 8 a.m. interview with Tech Weekly just canceled. They didn't give a reason. The collapse isn't coming. It's already here. Evelyn stands on shaking legs and walks to the window. The Golden Gate Bridge glows orange in the early morning light. Cars stream across it. Thousands of people starting their day, unaware that her entire world is disintegrating. She built this company from nothing, raised $200 million, hired 300 employees, created technology that legitimately improves supply chain efficiency for Fortune 500 companies. And in 10 seconds, she made it all irrelevant. Because she couldn't see past her own assumptions. Because she believed her instincts were infallible. Because she never questioned whether the image of power she carried in her head might be wrong. Her phone buzzes again. Richard Thornton, board chair. Evelyn, we need to discuss transition planning. Call me. Transition planning. The phrase lands like a punch. They're preparing to remove her from her own company. Evelyn looks at Malik's email again. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. She has one chance. One meeting, one opportunity to salvage something. Her company, her reputation, her future. And she has no idea what to say. Comment below. Would you give Evelyn a second chance? And hit like if you want to see what happens when she faces Malik in his office. Subscribe now to witness the most uncomfortable conversation of Evelyn's life. Malik's office is not what Evelyn expected. She stands in a reception area on the 32nd floor of a building in Lower Manhattan, surrounded by floor-to-ceiling windows that frame the Hudson River. But there's no marble, no grand entrance, no receptionist behind a polished desk with the company logo backlit in gold. Just clean lines, neutral colors, a simple waiting area with two minimalist chairs, a low table holding a single architecture magazine, and soft overhead lighting. Intentional simplicity. Evelyn arrived 20 minutes early. She couldn't sit. Her body won't allow it. So she stands near the window, arms wrapped around herself, staring at the water below without really seeing it. She's wearing a navy suit, more conservative than usual. Minimal jewelry, hair pulled back. She even second-guessed her choice of handbag this morning, wondering if it looked too expensive, too ostentatious. Everything feels different now. Every choice weighted with new meaning. The waiting room clock ticks audibly. Each second stretches longer than the last. 9:47 a.m. 9:51 a.m. 9:56 a.m. Evelyn realizes suddenly and completely how powerless waiting feels. How vulnerable it is to be on someone else's schedule. To need something from them more than they need anything from you. She's made hundreds of people wait in her office. Investors, vendors, employees. She told herself it was strategic, establishing authority, managing her time efficiently. But standing here, checking her watch every 90 seconds, she understands what she was really doing. Making people feel small. At 10:03 a.m., the door opens. Malik Hayes enters without urgency. He's wearing dark jeans and a charcoal sweater. Simple, casual. The same deliberate, understated presence he had in the Sterling Tower lobby. Evelyn's breath catches. Her hands instinctively move to smooth her jacket. Malik's eyes meet hers briefly. No smile, no greeting. He simply nods toward the interior door. Come in. She follows him into his office. The space is equally minimal. A wooden desk with clean edges, two chairs across from it, a bookshelf lined with biographies and economic texts, and more windows overlooking the city. No awards on the walls. No magazine covers. No trophies declaring his success. Just a room designed for thinking. Malik gestures to one of the chairs. Evelyn sits, her posture rigid despite her best efforts to appear calm. Malik settles into his chair across from her. He doesn't lean back, doesn't fold his hands. He simply looks at her directly, waiting. The silence stretches 15 seconds. 20. He does not offer his hand. Finally, he speaks. Why are you here? For words. Simple. Direct. No preamble. Evelyn's prepared speech. The carefully worded apology her PR team drafted, the talking points about misunderstandings and stress, dissolves in her throat. Because I was wrong, she says quietly. Malik's expression doesn't change. About what? About you. About. She pauses, forcing herself to say it. About judging you before respecting you. Go on. Evelyn's hands clench in her lap. I saw you in that lobby, and I made assumptions. About who you were. About whether you belonged there. I didn't ask questions. I didn't verify. I just decided. Malik nods slowly. And what did you decide? The question cuts deeper than she expected. Evelyn's voice drops. That you didn't look like an investor. What does an investor look like? Silence. Evelyn has no answer that doesn't sound worse. Malik leans forward slightly. His voice remains calm, but there's steel beneath it now. Firm. Unwavering. Ms. Carter, you came here to apologize. But I don't think you understand what you're apologizing for. Evelyn's eyes widen slightly. You think this is about me? About my feelings? About whether I was offended? He shakes his head. It's not. He stands and walks to the window. His back to her. His voice measured. This is about values. About the architecture of how you see the world. about the assumptions so deeply embedded in your thinking that you don't even recognize them as assumptions. Evelyn sits frozen, listening. You didn't refuse my handshake out of hatred, Malik continues. You refused it out of comfort, because your brain had already categorized me. Black man, casual clothes, no visible wealth signals. Your unconscious mind said, doesn't belong here. And you trusted that instinct without question. He turns back to face her. That's how bias works in professional spaces. It doesn't need hatred. It just needs comfort. The comfort of never questioning your own judgment. The comfort of assuming your instincts are always right. Evelyn feels tears threatening. She blinks them back. You're right. I know I'm right. The question is whether you actually believe it. I do. Then tell me, how many other people have you dismissed the same way? The question lands like a physical blow. Evelyn opens her mouth, closes it. Her mind races through years of interactions. Job interviews where she made snap judgments. Pitches she dismissed within 30 seconds. Employees she never took seriously because they didn't present well. I don't know, she whispers. That's the problem. Malik sits back down, his eyes never leaving hers. You've been operating on autopilot for so long, you can't even see the pattern. Evelyn's posture shifts. The rigid executive armor she's worn her entire career cracks visibly. Her shoulders drop. Her hands unclench. She looks suddenly smaller, more human. What do I do? She asks, her voice raw. Malik is quiet for a long moment. You start by acknowledging that this isn't about one bad moment. It's about a system you've built, in your company, in your hiring, in your leadership, that rewards people who look and think like you, and punishes people who don't. I never meant. Intent doesn't matter. His words are sharp but not unkind. Impact does. You can have the best intentions in the world and still create harm. Evelyn nods slowly. Tears finally escape, running silently down her cheeks. She doesn't wipe them away. I want to fix it, she says. I want to do better. Then stop looking for forgiveness from me and start looking at your systems, your hiring practices, your promotion criteria, your board composition, the voices you listen to and the voices you ignore. He pauses. And understand that fixing it won't be comfortable. It will mean giving up some of the power you've held. It will mean admitting you were wrong more than once. It will mean rebuilding from a place of humility instead of certainty. Evelyn meets his eyes. For the first time in days, she's not performing, not managing her image, not calculating her response. She's just listening. Can you help me? She asks quietly. Malik leans back in his chair, studies her for a long moment. Maybe, he says finally, but not the way you think. Evelyn waits. I'm not here to save your company, Ms. Carter. I'm here to see if you're capable of changing. Because if you're not, no amount of money will fix what's broken. The room falls silent again. Outside, the city hums with life. Inside, two people sit across from each other. One who had all the power and lost it. One who was denied basic respect and chose dignity anyway. And between them, a question hangs in the air. Can people really change? Comment below. Do you think Evelyn deserves a second chance? And hit like if you want to see Malik's final decision. Subscribe now to see what true accountability looks like. Malik doesn't answer immediately. He stands and walks to his bookshelf, running his finger along the spines. Economics, leadership, biographies of people who rebuilt after failure. He pulls out a thin volume. The Hard Thing About Hard Things, and sets it on his desk. I've been thinking about your company for 3 weeks, he finally says, returning to his chair. Not about you. About the technology, the team, the potential. Evelyn nods, afraid to speak. Your supply chain optimization platform is genuinely innovative. Your engineers are brilliant. Your customer retention metrics are strong. He pauses. The problem isn't the company. It's the leadership. The words hang in the air like a verdict. So here's what I'm willing to do. Malik continues, his voice steady and businesslike. Hayes Capital will lead a $120 million Series C round. We'll bring in 2 additional co-investors. The funding will stabilize operations and position you for sustainable growth. Evelyn's chest loosens slightly. Relief floods through her. Thank you. I'm not finished. Her mouth closes. Malik leans forward, elbows on his desk, hands clasped. There are conditions. Non-negotiable. Evelyn's hands grip the armrests of her chair. First, Malik says, you will step down as CEO within 60 days. The room tilts. Evelyn's breath catches audibly. What? You will transition to an advisory role, founder and strategic consultant. You'll retain equity. You'll have input, but you will not lead day-to-day operations. Malik, I built this company from nothing. I know what you built. I also know what you've damaged. His voice is calm, but immovable. The board has lost confidence. Your team has lost trust. Clients are reconsidering contracts. You can't lead effectively when half your organization questions your judgment. Evelyn's voice cracks. This company is everything to me. Then let it survive without you at the helm. Tears stream down her face now, unchecked. She's fought for 15 years to build Carter Innovations. Every late night, every investor pitch, every product iteration. Her name is on the door. Her vision shaped everything. And now she has to give it up. Second, Malik continues, we will restructure executive leadership. That means diversifying your C-suite, your board, and your senior management. We'll conduct a comprehensive culture audit with a third-party firm. Any findings will be addressed publicly and transparently. Publicly, Evelyn's voice is barely a whisper. Yes, no more quiet settlements. No more NDAs covering up problems. If there are systemic issues, they get fixed in the light, not in the dark. Evelyn closes her eyes. Her career, her reputation, her carefully constructed image, all of it being dismantled piece by piece. Third, Malik says, you will issue a public statement, not written by your PR team, acknowledging what happened, taking full responsibility, and outlining concrete steps for change. You'll commit to executive coaching focused specifically on inclusive leadership. Executive coaching, Evelyn repeats numbly. You need to rebuild yourself before you can help rebuild the company. That means doing the uncomfortable work of examining your biases, your blind spots, your assumptions. It means being accountable not just in words, but in action. Malik pulls a folder from his desk drawer and slides it across to her. These are the terms. Read them. Take 24 hours to decide. But understand, this is the only offer you're going to get. Evelyn opens the folder with shaking hands. Legal documents, investment terms, transition timelines, governance, restructuring. Everything she feared is laid out in black and white. She reads in silence for 3 full minutes. The terms are clear, comprehensive, and absolutely devastating to her ego. The company survives, but not her position, not her control, not her identity as the visionary CEO who built a nearly billion-dollar company. She looks up at Malik. His expression is neutral, not vindictive, not triumphant, just businesslike. Why are you doing this? She asks quietly. Because the technology is worth saving. The jobs are worth saving. The potential is worth saving. He pauses. But toxic leadership isn't. You think I'm toxic. I think you've created toxic systems. Whether that makes you toxic is something you'll have to figure out. Evelyn stares at the papers. Her mind races through alternatives. Other investors. Other options. Other ways to maintain control. But there are none. She's out of cash. Out of time. Out of credibility. This is the only lifeline. And accepting it means losing everything she's fought to be. The silence stretches. 30 seconds. A minute. 2. Finally, Evelyn speaks. If I accept these terms. Her voice is hoarse. What happens to me? You get to stay involved with the company you built. You maintain equity. You get to see it succeed. But you don't get to be the face of it anymore. And if I refuse, then the company goes bankrupt in 7 weeks. 287 people lose their jobs. Your investors lose their money. And your legacy becomes the CEO who destroyed her own company because she couldn't let go of power. Evelyn's hands tremble. She thinks of her team, the engineers who believed in her vision, the salespeople who closed impossible deals, the operations staff who kept everything running. She thinks of her board, already preparing to remove her forcibly. She thinks of the video, still circulating, still haunting her. She thinks of Malik's extended hand in that lobby, and her arms staying crossed. Pride nearly killed her company. Pride nearly destroyed 287 careers. Pride nearly erased 15 years of work. And pride is the only thing stopping her from signing these papers. She picks up the pen Malik has placed on the desk. Her hand hovers over the signature line. This isn't punishment, Malik says quietly. It's consequence. There's a difference. Evelyn looks at him, really looks at him. The man she dismissed without a second thought now holds her entire future in his hands. The power dynamic has fully reversed. 24 hours ago, she stood in a gleaming lobby, surrounded by people who deferred to her. She refused a handshake because she assumed she had the authority to decide who mattered. Now she sits in a minimalist office, signing away her CEO title, accepting conditions she would have laughed at last week. Everything she built depends on understanding why that moment mattered. She signs. The pen scratches across paper 4 times. Each signature feels like a small death. When she finishes, she sets the pen down carefully and slides the folder back across the desk. Okay, she whispers. Malik takes the folder without ceremony. He doesn't smile, doesn't offer congratulations. He simply nods. My team will be in touch tomorrow to begin the transition process. You'll meet your interim CEO replacement next week. She's excellent. Harvard MBA, 15 years at Amazon and Google, deep expertise in operational scaling. Evelyn repeats softly. Yes, a black woman. Actually, I think you'll learn a lot from her. The irony isn't lost on Evelyn. She almost laughs, but it comes out as a choked sound somewhere between a sob and acknowledgement. Malik stands. The meeting is over. This time he extends his hand. Firm, professional, equal. Thank you, Evelyn says, and means it in ways she never imagined she would. Malik nods once. Don't thank me. Just do the work. Evelyn walks out of his office and into the waiting area. The city stretches below her, indifferent to her humiliation, her loss, her transformation. She built an empire on certainty. She lost it in 10 seconds. She saved it by surrendering. And somewhere in that painful equation, she might finally become the leader she always claimed to be. Comment below, is this justice or mercy? And hit like if this story changed how you think about power, bias, and accountability.